My friend has been acting weird lately, so I decided to investigate and find out why. And by a little weird, I mean she's been a little flirty with me. And no, I don't mean when most best friends compliment each other when they're trying on some dresses at a store. It gets worse. So when me and my friends would hang out, we would usually drive around in my car, or we would just sit in my car and spill the most piping hot tea. But sometimes it would just be me and a couple of my other friends because we all have busy lives. So one night, it was just me, Daphne, and our friend Mary. We were waiting outside the workplace that Daphne's dad worked at because he needed a ride home. And then at some point as we were waiting, Daphne's dad decided to come out for a second and drop off a cup of soda for Daphne. After Daphne sat back down, she decided to have some soda and she explained how cold it was. And to prove that to me, she put the cold cup against my leg. And you know, this is a normal thing, trying to get a reaction out of your friend for putting something cold on their skin. But this girl decided to keep the cup there, look at her phone, and just to let you know, I was wearing a skirt that night, so yeah. And thank goodness she didn't go too far at my leg. Therefore, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was funny. So I turned around to laugh about it with our friend Mary in the backseat. However, she was looking at her phone with her earbuds in and did not realize what had happened. Therefore, I turned around, scrolling my phone as Daphne eventually took the cup off my leg, not saying anything else. So looking at this, I didn't really think of it as anything serious because she probably forgot what she was doing as she was looking at her phone. So it was probably nothing. A few weeks later, me, Andrew, our friend Voltec, and Daphne went out to eat dinner. And as we were all laughing and joking about something, almost choking on our food, Daphne looked down at her plate and said, "I love you, Snow." Platonically. And I stopped eating and looked at her like, wait, what? After she said that, we all got quiet and continued eating our food. And this is because Daphne doesn't usually say these things to me, so all of us just got caught off guard. Now, this probably wouldn't have been so weird if we were all talking about something similar when we were eating, but no, she decided to say this out of random. Therefore, I took this moment and took it as something I should probably look into a little more. Like, yeah, sure, I love her as a friend too, but you just have to say it so loud. Next thing you know, she's gonna tell the whole world. Like, yeah, this is kind of what I wanted, but this is so sudden. And later, when me and Voltec decided to talk about that moment, he said, yeah, that caught me off guard too. So I was like, it's not just me. A few days later, me and Daphne decided to hang out with our friend William. And as we were driving, she asked me if I was thinking about her earlier because she was calling my name over and over again. She probably meant that as she was talking about something earlier, she kept saying my name over and over in the conversation. Therefore, at that moment when she said that to me, I didn't think too much of it. I also thought this because as we were waiting to hang out with our friend Andrew, she accidentally called our friend Voltec, and when he called back to ask why she called him, she asked him the same question. But at this time, because of how she said it, I still thought it was a bit weird and thought I should not just look over it. And this is because sometimes she would text me and say things like, "Hey, have you thought of me today? Because I thought of you." Therefore, I decided to put this one on my list for investigations. Now, like I said in the last video, me and Daphne still talk and hang out on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things that I started to notice is anytime I talk to her about anything or a funny story of some sort, she has a habit of looking at me intently like she is full-on focused on what I am saying. And no, I'm not talking about the focus that you have when you're in class. I am talking about the focus when your crush is talking to you or someone near you and they are the only person that you want to look at in the room. The moment when your eyes are sparkling and you're smiling just slightly to be noticed. And sadly, one of the only biggest reasons why I noticed that she is doing this because no one else really looks at me this hard when I'm just talking. Like, yeah, most people would look at me for a few seconds and then look at their phone. Or there would be that kind of person who would be like, and nodding their head. But no, this girl makes it a point to look at me so focused that she almost looks amazed or proud of what I am doing. One great example of this happening to me is when our friend William decided to invite us to his gym with his brother. As I was waiting for Daphne on the bench in the girls' locker room, she came out of her stall and walking towards me, she decided to look from my feet up to my face. And it was one of those slow looks, as if she was overlooking my whole body. I also want to mention that at this moment, I wasn't wearing anything to get anyone's attention. I was literally just wearing a normal tank top, some shorts, and sandals. Nothing out of the ordinary. So therefore, I also put this one in my list of investigations. One of the things that happens when me and our group of friends are hanging out together is Daphne says that I am one of her favorite people out loud. Now, when this happens, our group of friends don't really do anything or say anything. They just let it kind of fly over their heads like nothing. And honestly, every time she says this, it makes me feel good. But because I am making a list for my investigation on trying to figure out what is going on, I decided to keep this as it is a very good piece of evidence. And now a person who has been flirting with you for some time suddenly says that you're one of their favorite people in front of a group of people, you would think that'd be kind of suspicious, don't you think? Now, if I were to think about this in an innocent way, to think that maybe she said this to be friendly, to say that I'm one of her favorite friends, it still doesn't make total sense because she wasn't friends with me as long as she was friends with the rest of our group. It also kind of makes sense that sometimes you would meet a person and it doesn't matter how long you've been friends with them for, but they could have a bigger impact on you because of what they may have said or done for you. I put this last one on my list of investigations because this is another big thing that happened when we were at her friend's house. One night we were driving around in William's car when we pulled up to their friend Brianna's house. And let me tell you, when we pulled up to her house, I was like, damn! But anyways, moving on. So we get up to Brianna's bedroom and we're hanging out, watching TV, talking here and there. Then Daphne decides to go ahead and sit in Brianna's rolling chair. As she's sitting on the chair like a guy with her legs open a little bit, I'm like, bro, you're wearing a dress, calm down. And then she proceeds to tell me, you can come sit right here. She said just kidding afterwards, but I was just sitting there like, oh hell no! Because right before we went to Brianna's house, I went ahead and took our friend group, including Daphne, to go see Christmas lights in a neighborhood. When we got to the neighborhood, we had to follow a map that was on my phone. And I don't have a phone holder in my car, so I had Daphne hold my phone for me. And as we were in the neighborhood, I kept getting lost, so I was always asking Daphne for my phone. And one time as we were parked, I asked my phone from her, and she went ahead and said, you can reach it. In my head, I was like, bro, you cannot do this to me. You are wearing a dress. But now that I'm looking back, she was probably sick of me asking for my phone over and over again. After all this happening to me, I decided to go ahead and call her one night just to ask her and confirm her feelings. Just so I know what's going on and how I should feel about it. Then as soon as I got the guts to ask her the awkward question, she paused for a second and was talking to herself like, did I do anything? And that was when she apologized and said that she didn't know she was doing those things. So guys, if this sort of thing happens to you with your friend, especially if they're a girl, don't automatically assume that they like you, because most of the time you can be wrong. I want to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed. Once again, thank you so much. Bye.